What is going on, guys? Blink here, back with a new guide. So this guide will help you fight off players that are holding the high ground during endgame. Also, the V-Bucks giveaway is still going on, so make sure to visit the link in the description to enter. And lastly, don't forget to subscribe and turn on notifications as I post an Amazon gift card code in the comments every time I upload. By turning on notifications, you'll have a way better chance of getting here first and redeeming that code. Anyways, guys, let's get to this guide. So the first example, our opponents had the best possible spot endgame. When your opponent's set up on a mountain with the circle in their favor, you'll have to see if you can hit off a snipe, as without that sniper, you're in risk of being exposed way too long, as you'll probably be shooting your AR. Your healing can only help you to a certain extent, and having that sniper will avoid you from peeking out too long. So I'm trying to get some surprise angles without building, and I was able to hit one of my opponents in the head. By not building, it makes it harder for your opponent to spot you. If you're in an area that has lots of cover around, and your opponents are basically in a static spot with limited peeking angles, then try forcing one of your opponents into peeking the only angle they can spot you from. There are two great methods of beating players with forts set up on the high ground. The first one is the one shown in this example, forcing your opponent to peek from limited angles. The angle I was able to hit him is the most common angle for him to peek from, as it's the closest angle for him to peek me. I also forced him into peeking me from that angle by only exposing some of my character model and never allowed his teammate to spot me. If you can force only one of your opponents to peek you, it creates that temporary 1v1, which gives you a better chance of not taking any damage from that second opponent. Now, the second method is getting your teammate to spread out from you as he starts taking shots at the fort. A lot of the times your opponent will tunnel vision and peek out to take a shot on your teammate, and what you want to do is wait for that peek out and try getting that snipe off. So after sniping this opponent, I went for the push just so I can get closer. Now, you guys notice I talk about the sniper a lot, and the reason for this is because it's so good in every scenario. Although without that sniper, I suggest you push without spraying your AR, as your opponents probably have snipers of their own. So I know that one of my opponents is healing, and I'll potentially only be getting shot by one of them. And I've talked about pinching two opponents fighting in a previous guide. You push them because both opponents potentially have low HP, and it gives you a higher chance of elimination. Same with this situation. I push because I'll potentially only be getting shot by one opponent, and it gives me a higher chance of getting closer. Anytime you can spot drastic advantages, you want to put the pressure on. So I kept pushing and used ramps and walls to get closer to my opponents. Now remember that second method I talked about when your opponent's focused on your teammate? Well, this is basically what would have happened. I was able to snipe this opponent because my opponent had an angle on my teammate. So what he did was ignore me from his sight and focused on my teammate. This resulted in him peeking out too far, which exposed himself into me being able to see him. Gave me an angle to snipe him, and I did just that. After the snipe, I went for an instant push because once again, I created an opportunity for us to potentially only be fighting a 2v1. So I double staircased it up, and you want to make sure anytime your opponent is directly above you that you always have cover from above. Now she was able to tag me from above, although I kept pushing for that high ground, and I was able to tag her a little bit in the process. She tried getting away and probably tried reviving her teammate, as we did make a big material mess, so it would have been harder for us to find her, which is why you want to keep the pressure on her and not allow her to get away. There's two of you and one of her. You want to keep that pressure on and see if you can eliminate her. We ended up following her the whole way, catching her, giving us the elimination. So keep that constant pressure, especially to not allow that revive to happen. Now this next example is similar to the last one. Once again, our opponents had the best possible positioning and the safe zone wasn't in our favor. We tried getting some snipes off and it wasn't working out for us. So as the circle was coming in, our best bet was to try to get closer to them and get right under them to avoid them having any angles on us. So as you guys can see, in these types of situations, you want to get as close as possible to your opponents without exposing yourself. So we used that jump pad to get as close as possible and had once again double ramped it up as they are directly above us. Now you want to try spotting one of them and see if you can destroy the materials they're on to single each one of them out. Now they basically did that for us. They both ended up dropping down on us one by one. The issue for them was that they weren't really together. They both came a few seconds late, which allowed us to focus on one of them before the other one came. Whenever you have a chance to fight a temporary 2v1, then do it. That double firepower basically downed this player instantly. His teammate came by a few seconds later, and now you guys have to try keeping that pressure on him together. The mistake he made was dropping down instead of going right back up for that high ground. Now since he's below us, it allows you to stay with your teammate easier. As you saw in the last example, it might be harder for your teammate or even you to keep up with another player building up. So make sure to get above if you are our opponent in this situation. Now the key things to take from this is to try utilizing one of the methods I've explained in the first example. Try getting a knock or even some damage done to have an easier time pushing up. If this is not possible, then make sure you're building yourself as much cover as possible when pushing your opponents. Utilize those double ramps to avoid taking that damage from above. And lastly, if you have a chance of fighting a 2v1, then take the battle. Don't let your opponent get away for a potential revive, and just keep that constant pressure on him. Now I'll show you guys me placing pressure onto my opponent during a mid-game fight. This is similar to both examples I've shown. I'll just be showing you guys that it's good to do during mid-game fights too. So we ended up fighting it out, and I do get stuck in a tree and decide to jump down to see if I can drop him down too. He ends up jumping down, and as I hit him with my shotgun, I make sure to build. Now, I'm keeping that pressure on him the whole time, not giving him time to heal or really set anything up. He keeps trying to build to see if he can get a breather and maybe get a heal off, but I don't allow any of that, and what he ends up doing is pulling out his weapon too late. By me playing aggressive, it might have made him a little more nervous, resulting in him not making the right decisions. You gotta take control of the fights. Let people know you're the one that's taking over. You want to really get in their face and not give them time to think. Practice playing with aggression. It can take some time, but it will help you as an overall player. Now, sometimes you want to play a little more passive, but when you're in most building battles, you want to try taking control, showing your opponent you're not scared of him. So, since we are talking about the high ground, I want to give you guys this last quick tip if you ever see this type of fort built. When you can see that single staircase exposed, you don't need to build up to your opponent. Simply shoot it down, and as you shoot it down, build up for that high ground. You avoid taking damage if you tried building up to him instead. As you shoot it down, he will start to fall, and as he falls, you're building up, which results in putting your opponent below you. So try spotting those single ramps, and depending on your situation, shoot them down if it can potentially give you an advantage. Alright, so hopefully I've helped some people out with this guide, and a like and a sub would be greatly appreciated as it does help me out a lot. Anyways guys, thanks for watching, and I hope you have a great rest of your day or night, and I'll see you on the next one.